They're not going to call a general election. There'd be I cannot think of a logical reason for Burnham to be willing to call a general election. Zero. Why does he need the mandate? Why does he need to take it to the general public when he already has a large majority? All he has to do is win the leadership contest, which he will do, and then sliver in. He already has control over most of the MPs. The reason he was threatening Starmer was because he had control over them. He was saying he will initiate a bunch of resignations from Starmer's cabinet because he has the influence. He wasn't even sworn in. Because he has the influence, because he'll be promising people cabinet roles, because he's trying to appeal to the backbenchers. He's trying to appeal to all the different factions, the Corbynite factions, the New Labour factions, the Blue Labour factions. He's appealing to all of the factions. And he's doing that on purpose. He's doing that on purpose. It's because he knows that he doesn't need a mandate. He doesn't need the public's consent to do things. The reason Reform are trying to push forward this idea about a general election now is because they also know that. What did I tell you? I told you this last episode. I said the reason that Farage has spent time in the last few weeks trying to appeal to the trade unions is because he knows that if Burnham is to reach power, Burnham will be able to grab back those trade unions and grab back the white working class vote, which is what Reform has managed to hoover up in the North. That is why Reform have tried to appeal to the trade unions. That is why Farage made a direct address talking to them, saying, we will work with you. We will sit down at the table with you. That is why he's calling for a general election. He knows damn well Burnham gets in, he puts forward investments over towards the North. Now that we're involved in all of these wars as well, where our oil prices are going up, and I don't mean involved as in directly, but the war still continues to happen in the Middle East. Ignore the memorandum of understanding that went through, already being broken. Israel's still attacking. It's already being broken. Peace deals out the window. Yes, they're going to Switzerland to have conversations, but trust me, it's out the window. The war will continue because Netanyahu wants the war. What happens with that? Oil prices continue to go up. Ukrainian war continues to strive forward. Burnham is talking about reindustrialization. What do you think that includes? That includes looking at our energy as well. Energy, we're just going to keep importing all of it. So we're going to have to then start looking at how we can build more energy plants to produce our own energy with the wars that are going on. That's going to be in the North. This is going to be in the North. Everything we're talking about, the reindustrialization, he is looking towards the North to do that. Implement the jobs, implement the policy, implement the spending to increase productivity, lower unemployment, bridge the gap between the wealth inequality of the North and the South, invest in transport up in the North. Who do you think that appeals to? The white working class voter who used to be a generational Labour voter that would never vote Conservative and happened to lend back their vote to Reform simply because they felt that Labour had left their roots. And Farage knows that, which is why he's calling for a general election. But I don't think Burnham will, because it would be useless for him to do such. It would be absolutely pointless. He could have 3 years. 3 years as Labour leader. And look at what's happening now. Every single newspaper is pushing him forwards. They're talking about Burnham, 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 PM, 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 PM. How long has this been going on for? Who controls the media? Who wants this to happen? Who wants Burnham to revive the Labour Party? Who wants Labour to be able to boost itself, have its second wind up until the next general election? There's a chance, genuinely, get ready for this, right? Shock. Here's a shock horror. There is a chance that Labour could genuinely revive itself enough with enough policy investment, with enough investment in the North, with enough infrastructure, that it may be able to hold on to the 2029 election and win it. That is a possibility. And everybody doubts me when I say this. Everybody doubted me about Burnham. All these Southerners did it. I spoke to my friend earlier. He doubted me, and I went, wait and see. Because he's popular up here. Everybody doubted me that Burnham was popular. Everyone just said it's whatever. He's just the same as everybody. 54% of the vote in Makerfield. clear majority. But it's a Labour stronghold. It's Andy Burnham. 20% more vote share than the last general election where it was Josh Simmons. It's Andy Burnham. The media's pushing him for a reason. They're calling him the King of the North everywhere for a reason. He's talking about the North-South divide for a reason. Reform is scared for a reason. The effect of this for our general politics is the fact that because the right wing is split, it has to form coalitions somewhere. It has to form some form of unity and alliance. And who do you think that's going to be between? Or even just on an ego-driven game, who do you think that's going to be between? You think it's going to be between Nigel and Farage, really? I mean, Nigel and Rupert? Do you think it's going to be between those two? No. It'll be between the Conservatives and Reform. The only game Nigel has ever really wanted to play regarding the Conservatives is he's always just wanted to one-up them. That's always been his politics. He just wants to one-up the Conservatives. If he can get them in a deal where they give him their votes, but he continues to technically have more control over them, then I guarantee you he's happy with that. Because that's always been his career interest. His career interest has always been to stick his middle finger up to the Conservative Party, which fundamentally rejected Brexit when he first started his career. He used to be a member of the Conservatives back in his youth. That's the reason that he diverged from them, is because of their hard stance on Europe. That's the reason. And they're definitely not going to want to go with Restore. Nigel's especially not going to want to go with Restore when they're already trying to slam down Restore as if it's a pro-EU party because of Charlie Downs' comment, I think it was on LBC, where he basically said that in a future, and I actually do agree with this, by the way, in a future where Europe had nationalist governments throughout, we could work in a reformed, no pun intended, reformed unified pact with our European neighbours to have this trading bloc and this shared agreement about military strength and defence. It's called pan-Europeanism. And I actually do kind of agree with that, because in the world of the Chinese Empire, the Russian Empire, the Jewish Empire, in the world of economic monopolies and the fiat system, you kind of do need to look towards unifying different nations together for your survival. And there must be a common interest in all of that, and European is Europeanism. So I think that he's not wrong with that, but Nigel being an economist and a businessman, that's all he is. He just cares about the economic standpoint of a country. Nigel being like that, of course he's not going to like that, because you talk about the EU, people ignore the fact that you're talking about a reformed EU with nationalist governments that work in the survivability and the interest of the native Europeans. Excuse me. Because he's doing that, Nigel's just instantly going to be like, you're a pro-EU party. Bang. Tommy Robinson already came out and did that today. Remember, right, I just want to pull this back. To what I said. I want to pull this back to what I said, where I said 2 streams ago, it was last Wednesday, I said that you've already seen this divide happen in Restore, and there are people inside of Restore, like Habib, who don't like Downs and will inevitably want him out of the party. Now, who is Habib's very strong ally? Where does Habib talk? Almost every single event. UTK. Who leads that? Our favourite Shabos Goy. Our favourite Shabos Goyim. Our favourite Shekel Monster. Tommy Robinson. And what did Tommy Robinson come out and say today? Tommy Robinson comes out and says today that Rupert Lowe needs to remove Charlie Downs from the party. It's almost like that was foreseeable. It's almost like that divide, those factions were foreseeable. Bearing in mind, this comes just after Rupert Lowe said he doesn't care if Tommy Robinson joins, and I tweeted disgusting. But it's almost like everything that I'm saying about Restore and the way it's going in regards to its factions and fractures, it's happening. And honestly, you want the honest truth? The worst thing that could happen for Restore right now, even though it's taking a lot of heat in the minute because they keep being fucking retarded and Rupert's an idiot, and Alistair needs to get fired ASAP, and they've got to stop putting females forward. You know what would be the worst thing for them? A general election. And who's calling for a general election? And if there was a general election called in the next week or month or so, who do you think would make a deal? Guarantee it would be Nigel and Kemi. Even if not a coalition, they would make a deal about standing in certain areas. So, it's already happening. This fracture is happening. These agreements are happening. This divide on the right and the pushing. Here we go. This is, let's get back to the beginning. The pushing away of the far right, the ethno-nationalists, the ethnocentric people, that has already began to happen. You are being denounced by Restore. You are going to be pushed away while they try and battle with Reform, because Reform fundamentally want to smash down Restore, because that's an ego-driven battle between the two. And they will make pacts with the Conservatives and try and call for a general election, whilst Andy Burnham is put into power, ignores it, falls on deaf ears. He starts investing in infrastructure into the north, building up the Red Wall again. And I already said this, and I've made the prediction before, and I'll say it again. Next year, in the local elections, the Labour Party will do a lot better. They will do a hell of a lot better. And the year after that, the Conservatives will do a hell of a lot better. The Conservatives are already on the bounce. Everyone taking the piss out the Kemi bounce. It's not the Kemi bounce, it's called the Uni Party. It's called this joint coalition, the Uni Party, that never dies, that has never died, that continues to live on. Which is why they're winning in South Aberdeen. Which is why the Labour Party is winning in Makerfield. Because the Uni Party is a leech you cannot get. It's constantly sucking the blood out of the British people. It is the system. You can't break it. You have to let it implode. Or you have to go inside of it and destroy it from within. But that's kind of the motive right now. That's kind of what the right wing wants. So you will continue to see our side be pushed away. And I'll keep saying this. I'll say it again. I'll say it again to the nationalists. Like I keep fucking saying. I don't know how many times I have to bitch slap you into understanding this. I feel like I've got you by the collar and I'm just fucking left, right, and you're still not listening. Stop being subverted and demand more. Stop settling for less. Stop making excuses. Demand more. Unionize together, tribalize together, grassroots movement yourselves together, meet your communities together, move in a force. Because you are a force. That's the way. That's the only way forward. That's the only way that you win this. And if you don't do that, you'll just be taken for fools over and over and over and over and over again. Because that's the way that they are. That's the way that they'll always be. And that's the way that they always have been.